Hello and welcome back to Travel Market Life, to our monthly review show. Today we're going to be looking at growth of adventure travel and touring with our guest Claire Brighton from ATAS, who we're going to be exploring the trends, how the sector is evolving, and how as a travel business you can take opportunity and diversify your product for travellers.
Welcome to Travel Market Life, your companion for industry insights and professional business development. Travel Market Life. Join us by webcast, video or podcast.
Hey guys, it feels like it's been forever. Firstly, let's start off with what's happening. Claire, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Ryan. It's been a busy few months. I don't know about everyone else here, but for some reason summer is definitely not as quiet as it used to be, and everything just seems to be still going at sort of full pelt. But I'm loving it, and it's all going really well, thank you.
How's summer going for you, Will?
Yeah, pretty good. A bit like Claire, it's very hectic, and I have this sort of idea that there's going to be a lot of break and relaxation, and there has been a reasonable amount, but I need another holiday if I'm honest. It's relentless, but all good, all positive, and ready to go, into the dark days ahead.
And what about for you, James? How's the last few months been?
Life has been good. I have been traveling a lot. No
shock horror.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. But I've been traveling a lot and then focusing in the summer for what has been a busy Q2 and focusing on what will be coming around in Q3.
I mean, it's been a crazy few months. The weather has been absolutely extraordinary. I have a social life like I had when I was 22, and I'm just absolutely loving it. I mean, what do you get up to yourselves? I mean, if you think about last year, it was pretty dismal, wasn't it? I mean, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. People were actually looking at these vacations abroad. I know a lot more people have actually been going abroad. Yeah. I mean, what's the holiday market been like so far?
So actually, the holiday market, if we look at the UK, there's still lots of great deals around in the UK for like last minute availability, particularly for kind of more quaint inland properties. But beach breaks have done really well in the UK. Everyone's rushed down to the seaside as soon as the sun came out. I myself was even dipped in the ocean recently, and it was lovely. It was amazing. The weather's been great and good enough for that. And then outside the UK, so lots of deals to destinations where it's very, very hot. In fact, that's been putting off some people because if it gets too hot, people are now avoiding the hot weather because they like it more mild and look out the window. We've got it here, so stay at home.
I like the references to our guest that's coming up at the moment. Dipping into the water, going to cooler destinations. So we're getting there, aren't we? So you've been on a holiday recently, Will?
Yeah, I'm very blessed in terms of always getting a good couple of weeks in Spain because my father lives over there. And actually, to James's point, it's quite interesting in terms of the weather and some of the trends people have seen. So June in Spain was some of the hottest weather they'd had, and abnormally hot. July's actually been a little bit cooler, and that's when I was out there, probably 5 degrees cooler than they're used to at that time of year. We were in the south, and actually really pleasant. As quite a pale British guy, it was quite pleasant. But, it's starting to escalate again. And to James's point, people, we Brits especially are quite fussy when it comes to weather. We pray for all this sunshine, whether it's here or abroad, and then it comes and it's too hot and we want it to go away and we want the cooler weather. So we can't win. But yeah, I think to James's point as well, still a strong lates market. I think I've said on previous pods, I think now that is the new norm. I think that it's really shifted in terms of consumer behavior, in terms of what that's in that happening. And because it's happening, people are waiting to see what the weather is doing, what the weather is like at home, and what the weather is like abroad. And I think that's what we're going to see more and more of going forwards.
Now, Claire, let's turn to the industry. You and James managed to get yourselves to the ITT conference this year.
We did, yeah, out in Sardinia. Actually, it was an extremely good conference.
Wonderful conference.
It really was. The content was amazing. One of the best in years, I think, it's fair to say. Some extraordinary speakers from both outside the industry and in the industry as well. A lot of fun, as always. Some interesting evening entertainment. We had a very windy gala dinner.
We might have bumped into each other on the dance floor.
We may have bumped into each other on the dance floor. Bump, definitely. Yeah, no, it was great. And then I think I mentioned before I took the week off afterwards with some industry friends, and we had a villa and we were in Sardinia, so it's amazing. I'd never been there before. It's a beautiful country. Hindsight, wish I'd had a car because we did an awful lot of walking to and from because everything sort of seems to be quite a distance away, certainly where we were. But very, very hot at that time of year, particularly since it was the beginning of June. Again, I think unprecedented heat. But yeah, lovely, though maybe one too many mosquitoes.
Yeah. But I have to say, Sardinia, I add that to the list. I'd like to go back there. Wonderful destination. Italians are great.
Yeah.
We all love the food, the drink, the hospitality. And to the conference, all the speakers were great. And I shout out one of them in particular, Ken Hughes, which I've told everyone about. So if you Google Ken Hughes and want to watch some amazing videos, this guy is incredibly motivational and really does open your eyes up to the world.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're now going to hopefully be opened up to the world, a wider sense of looking at the growth in adventure travel and touring, joined by our special guest here today, Claire Brighton, the ATAS director. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Now, you've been away and we have made a reference to the idea of dipping or plunging into the ocean and somewhere cooler. Where have you just come back from?
I've just come back from an expedition cruise in the Arctic.
And tell us a little bit more about what was that involved?
So expedition, we flew up to Longyearbyen in Svalbard and joined the ship there. Obviously very difficult to get to Longyearbyen. So unfortunately we didn't get very long there to explore that, but joined the ship and headed out to a very loose itinerary. First night we were very lucky and we had a polar bear sighting. We're all in bed, it was 10 to 12 and all had to get our clothes back on quickly and head up and see the polar bear. But we saw walruses and humpbacks and orcas and my favourite new thing, puffins.
Fantastic. Was there a lot of puffins?
Yes, there was loads of puffins.
Proper strong orange beak and all that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love it. Now, you also plunged into the sea.
I did, yes. I did the polar plunge, the Arctic polar plunge. The sea was about -1, something like that, surrounded by sea ice. And yeah, about 30 of people on the ship decided to do it. So you head down to kind of the mudroom and really loud music pumping, so really gets your adrenaline going, and then all take it in turns to plunge into ridiculously cold water. And then they give you a shot of vodka when you come out to warm you back up again. So that's great. But I would have done it again. It was awesome.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. So you're here to talk about adventure travel and touring.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, let's kick off about the organisation you're from, ATAS.
Yeah, so ATAS is a trade association. Essentially, we're there to raise the profile of touring and adventure. We work predominantly with travel agents, so we've got about 7,500 travel agent members. And what we try and do with them is increased understanding so they can help their customers, but also dispel as many of the myths about the sector as we possibly can. So 7,500 travel agents, about 40 tour operator and expedition brands. So a good spread of all the best ones are with us.
Wow. Okay.
I would say that, but
So how's it been evolving as a sort of sector at the moment?
So, I mean, since 2019, apart from obviously exclude that little COVID bit, but we've been in massive growth as a sector. So it's now, I think probably people might still see it as quite a niche sector, but it's about 1.3 million passengers now. So it's a big part of the industry now. And it's still in growth. We haven't gone backwards at any point. So from 2019, excluding that little blip, we've been in double-digit growth all the way through. So it's a really growing part of the industry.
Right. So let's get some insight into the trends then. What are you seeing when it comes to adventure travel?
So touring adventure champions shoulder seasons first. And what I mean by that is we don't do very well in the July and August period because traditionally the customers don't necessarily want to travel in that period. But that shoulder season period trends for us massively. So key departure times, September, October and May, huge. So that's one of our big trends. Growth in solo travel. So solo travel is massive. It's now about 35% of our sector is solo travel. So it's huge. And within that, women over 50 is the biggest growth area within that trend, which is really cool because I guess that sometimes the destinations they're going to, the women traveling alone might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but the nature of our business, obviously with support from tour leaders and things like that, gives them so much more confidence to travel that's where we're seeing massive growth.
Very interesting. Now, we actually had a lovely interview with Palumi last year, didn't we, Claire, that you arranged? And we've been talking a lot about that growth in that sector.
Yeah, we have. I mean, as a woman over 50, I can genuinely say, actually, I think, the world has definitely opened up in terms of, particularly I think from a safety perspective as well. I think women feel much safer because of the sort of the stuff that all the tour operators are doing, as you just mentioned. But I also think, actually, and you talked about the shoulder seasons, sometimes you have family units that don't want to do different things, and so actually so that's where solo travel, I think, really comes in. I know, James, you've got.
Claire's 100% right. So if I look at Travelzoo, when we survey them, whilst only about 10% are solo travellers, a larger cohort are actually in relationships or, for instance, married, but like to travel individually.
Yep.
And that can be caused through different reasons. Sometimes it's different habits, different tastes that, I want to go on a culture break. I want to be on a beach holiday. Well, we'll do different holidays this year. Or I like to travel and you can't travel because of maybe medical reasons or disability. So there's lots of reasons why other individuals actually who are couples split up and go on different vacations throughout the year.
Yeah, we've got a really nice story that we use quite a lot. So I got really sick of hearing people going, the man's going to go on a golf holiday and the woman's going to go on a tour. It really started to annoy me. So I was looking for a better story than that. And actually I met a lady that she's always wanted to go to India, and it was her 50th birthday. Her husband had absolutely no interest in going to India, thought it'd be too noisy, thought it'd be too hot, didn't want to eat the food. I mean, quite frankly, he doesn't sound like the sort of husband that I would want, but she seemed to like him quite a lot. But so she decided to do this trip that she'd always wanted to do to India. So she did it. And then every year she's done a trip that he didn't want to do. And he just stays at home because he's one of those people that likes home comforts. And that works for them, which is awesome. But she's not let it stop her doing her dream trips, which is really cool.
Guess it gives them something to talk about when she gets home.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Are you seeing similar trends in adventure travel to the sort of wider travel market in terms of probably numbers going down a little bit, but prices going up, but also this shift towards a lates market? Are you seeing that, or is adventure market very different in who it appeals to and its very nature?
Yeah, no, we're not. And actually, when you guys were talking about the lates trend, I was kind of thinking, that's not us at all. So, touring is now booked further ahead than it ever has been before. So 2027 is already on sale for touring and adventure, and expedition the same. Small pockets of lates, but it tends to be people are a lot more organised. And actually, lates would probably fall into the solo section quite nicely because they don't have to plan so far ahead. They can be a bit more impulsive, but we're much further ahead planned. And actually, if you look at booking patterns, people book 6 to 12 months at least ahead. And the lates is just tiny for us now.
Oh, and a question that I have is, if we're looking at solos as being kind of an emerging trend, if you were to now focus on a country or a destination, is one of those jumping out as an emerging trend?
So the solo travel customers it's similar to our standard mix, and our standard mix is kind of Italy, Spain, India, Vietnam and Morocco are their top top volume producing destinations. But there are some little pockets in there for solos that we don't see for the other markets. So a great example is Thailand. Thailand doesn't really come up in our top 20 for couples or for groups, but it comes up for our solo travellers quite a lot. So there's some small differences, but they're not massively different.
And so is this groups booking, when you're talking about actually groups, where are your groups coming from? Are they sort of activity-based groups, or are they more sort of like multi-generational family?
So our data doesn't unfortunately tell us that yet. Yes, there will be multi-generational in there. Activity groups, potentially, yes, but we would class anything over 3 passengers a group. So all those special interest groups, like agents are great at talking to their local kind of bird watchers and all of that sort of thing. So we would see growth from them, but we unfortunately can't identify what that looks like right now.
So how are you seeing the sector evolving over the last few years? What are particular, I don't know, is it destinations? Is it product?
Everything. My members keep me very busy with the news that comes out. We have a lot of news stories to kind of cover as much as possible. But yes, destinations, and actually those kind of less discovered destinations. So the members I think the consumers are demanding it, but the members are reacting to that, and we're seeing a lot of different destinations. So I think one of our members just released Moldova as a destination, which we haven't massively seen before. I think that we've seen a lot of Uzbekistan and things like that kind of coming through, which we wouldn't have seen before either. And that is driven by consumer demand, which is great. But from a product point of view, we're also seeing a lot of changes. So a lot more small group journeys. So a small group tends to be classified differently by all of our members. So difficult to kind of put your finger on it, but could be anything between 12 and 25, depending on the member. But the small group seems to have seen quite a lot more growth than maybe the larger groups. So from a product point of view, that's definitely coming in. And then from a product point of view as well, the sustainability / responsible kind of side of things is huge for our members. So some of our members have actually just released a under tourism campaign to drive destinations that are less visited, to try and pull out of those kind of heavy areas, which is really great to hear. That was particularly in Japan, because Japan's a hugely trending destination, but you're finding everyone in the same place. So those specialists have kind of tried to pull them out across and spread it a little bit more, which is great.
And what about the actual members as an organisation providing the travel there, becoming members of ATAS at the moment? Are they seeing much more of a need to be a member and see the value there? Or
I hope so. Otherwise, I won't have a job anymore. Yeah, we had really good growth from our tour operator brands this year. So I think we've added about 8 new tour operator brands this year, which is great to see. But yeah, like I say, we've got pretty much all of the very strong ones. If they're not members, it's not, they should be.
Because, I mean, sometimes it's obviously that credibility aspect, isn't it? But it's also there having that support, having that community that you get from being part of an association that some people overlook sometimes.
Yeah, and we've released a couple of new things this year within our kind of community. So we've actually started an operational kind of customer service style group, which we've never had before. And what we're looking at is kind of all of our members, how do they face those operational challenges, things like flight cancellations, things like airports shutting down for a certain number of hours due to power issues, things like that. How do they handle it? But also then how do they adapt for the customer and also for the agent? Because if you're going on holiday and you face a flight delay of 8 hours, it's not great. But if you're going on a tour and you face a delay of 8 hours, you've basically missed your first stop, essentially. So there's much more kind of complexities for our members to deal with. So we're trying to kind of look at those as a group now, which is not something we'd done before.
That's very interesting. I guess, to keep that continuity going and ensure travellers get the product that they're looking for, and you're not actually also disrupting the commercial activities of a business. And I guess as part of that, where do you see the gaps currently and the opportunities for businesses to grow or to build product of their own?
It's difficult for me to see the gaps, obviously, because the members are the experts rather than me. But look, there's lots of destinations in the world that I think we could be doing more in. I think that our top selling destination is Italy, and it has been always. But seeing those kind of new destinations come through is where we'll see the growth, because people are not going to keep going back to the same places year after year after year, because those customers want a different experience. So I kind of see the growth in looking at new destinations to keep adapting to what those customers are looking for.
So just picking up on that, do you have stats on what repeat business looks like across your membership group? Because it strikes me that it's probably an audience that will keep going back for a new adventure and everything else like that. I wonder if you have anything on the sort of loyalty aspect.
Not at the moment, we don't. So the data project for us is fairly new. It's kind of it's about 2 years old, so we kind of keep adapting it. But we don't see that level of customer data at the moment. So we see kind of destination, when they book, how much they're paying, that kind of thing. But we don't, at the moment, due to kind of commercial sensitivities with our operators, we don't see too much information on the actual customers.
And sorry, I'm really interested in this. But in terms of this holiday, is this someone's main holiday? Is it typically the only holiday they have that year? Do you have stats around that, or how does that sort of fit in with other trends in travel?
Yeah, no. So the So customers tend to take, nature of this is some of them are slightly older customers that travel, so have a little bit more time and maybe have a little bit more money to spend as well. So they tend to travel more than once and they take more than one tour a year. So it's about, it breaks down to 2.3, which I never really understand, but 2.3 tours.
You're just saying a number now. 3.4. Okay, we'll settle on 2.3. It doesn't mean
2.3 tours or holidays a year, but not necessarily always with the same company.
I was going to say, probably one of the things that is special about ATAS is you're seeing the full breadth of the industry, from the more and the most, probably the most affordable way of doing touring and kind of getting out there. And we know there's partners like G and people like that who bring the value right down and still give you a very kind of educational travel trip. You're really kind of immersifying yourself inside in the product. But then you've also got partners who provide the most luxurious way of doing that kind of touring product. So you've got that scale there that someone, if they get a taste for it, you're appealing to maybe the people who've got a tighter budget, all the way to the people who, as we all know, 80% of the UK's wealth sits with the over 50s. And right now, travel still remains their number one disposable incomes.
It's not adventure travel. You're not covered black and blue and bruises and aren't covered in dirt at the same time.
That's just one of the myths of adventure travel that we're trying to break down.
I just wondered about, this sort of increasing security risk in some countries. How do you support your members with that? Or, how do you, particularly, I guess, agents selling, people looking for maybe some more of an extreme side of adventure touring, how's that best managed?
So look, all of our members will deal with that kind of themselves rather than us. For us, it's our job to communicate to the agents what those operators are doing in order to keep their customers safe. So should there be something that happens abroad, this is kind of what our ops group is now going to get a kind of joint communication out to the agents to say how their customers will be looked after. So not something we get too involved in, but we're just kind of starting that route now. But the operators' customers are very well looked after, and health and safety is paramount. And actually, so one reason why look, you can go and do active or adventure holidays on your own if you want to. We're not saying that you have to do them as organised tours, but the benefit of having that organised tour is that actually all those health and safety things have been looked at, they've been taken care of. You're not putting your hands you're not putting yourself in the hands of someone that's not put that as the first thing that's important. So I think that's a really big reason why you should be booking with kind of this escorted sort of style rather than kind of going it alone and maybe booking a bungee jump through someone that hasn't had rigorous testing on the elastic and stuff.
It is, but it's even, I did India on my own, and if my friends hadn't helped me get on the train to go to Varanasi, but then I ended up, I think it was in Delhi, and I had to go to Jaipur, and the coach that I got booked through the hotel didn't show up. And then so the local tourist office tried to help me, but they couldn't. They said, well, there's a bus coming along in a minute. You can take that one. It ended up being a local public bus where I was sat alongside chickens and goats. I'm not kidding you. I didn't believe this was actually a thing, but it actually happened.
I don't think you should enter Race Across the World right now.
Yeah, I was there before them. I had 3 cookies that lasted me 7 hours and about 100 milliliters of water. And this is during the hot of the day of India. Oh my God, yeah, it's not. And so in the end, when I went to Vietnam, I did this cycle tour, organized cycle tour. It was very, very leisurely cycle, I must say, but lovely. I got around it. I got through it safely. Now, how do you create? What's the ingredients that goes into a highly recommended tour, would you say?
Well, I mean, the first thing is a lot of research. The tour operators spend a long time researching a new destination or a new tour before they release it. So, and look, they're doing all the work for you. Why wouldn't you want them to do that work? Health and safety is obviously a big part of that. But things like you were just saying about trains and things. I personally, why would you want to spend hours looking at what time train you can get and what connection? They will have done all of that kind of stuff for you as well. So I think the research is really key. The buying power is really key as well. Like they're booking with these hotels all the time, so they're getting better rates than you would get yourself. So that's obviously key. But The primary thing for me that is absolutely key and quite honestly the hero of every tour is the tour leader. The local knowledge that you get from that tour leader is absolutely priceless. You literally could not put a cost on what they're going to tell you, the stories they're going to tell you, over what you could hear yourself. You can stop and you can look at all the sites yourself, but you're not going to hear a really cool story on the back of that someone can tell you that he's lived there forever.
And that lends itself massively to the biggest trend, which is this creating this FOMO. You know, you then come back and you tell your friends, you won't believe what I did on holiday, what I learned, this amazing tour leader who told me he'd met this person or done this or had seen this. And that creates the whole power of travel. It's amazing. I think touring is only going to get more and more popular in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And
thank God.
So as an agent selling, how can they have success, do you think, in this sector?
Well, they can join ATAS. That's it. No, I'm only joking. I do think that obviously that's for agents, it's free to join us. So why wouldn't you? But we've got a huge amount of knowledge and training and resources and events and everything for them to kind of delve into. So we get them in front of the operators. Operators can't do hundreds and thousands of store visits. So we get them in front of them and hopefully open that kind of line of communication so that they can decide which products work for them. It's really important as an agent not to automatically try and work with every single tour operator because it's a lot. I mean, it's my full-time job and it's a lot. And they're obviously selling lots of products. So it's really important to decide what products will work for your customer. And as a customer, saying what product works for you, embrace that, and then you'll be on the road to success.
Excellent, Claire. Thank you very much indeed. And so after the Arctic, I believe you're quite keen on doing the Antarctic, perhaps becoming a double plunger.
Yes, I would like to do that, yeah.
Wonderful. Love to hear that. Having heard about this wonderful world of adventure, Will, any ideas of a sort of adventure touring that you've got in your mind?
Nothing specific. I'll be entirely honest. But it does sort of open my mind, and that's exactly what I love about travel, which is people and experiences. And I think the trends you are going to see is, as we get over touristed, is all that experiential travel, and really for all this talk of AI and how you plan stuff and everything, I still believe there's going to be an element, certainly in the booking process, where you're going to need to speak to someone to get not your flying flops, but to get to the real nitty gritty and understanding of a destination. And then when you're on the ground, I was in Rome way back in May for a short tour, but a tour of the Colosseum, with a local guide brings it to life. That's what it's about. I can't tell you where I'm going next. That's higher powers than me. She will tell me where we are going and what we are doing. But I can tell you that I can absolutely see, the trend to this. I think it will come down a lot to disposable incomes, but people want to get increasingly under the skin of a destination and a new destination. They want to meet the people, they want to try the food. And if they don't, they probably shouldn't be traveling. Let's be honest.
It is interesting because we see a move towards travel agents a lot more. And it is an industry of people. And people, as you say, with the tour guides is so essential. I mean, I did North Korea. It wouldn't have been any good if it hadn't had someone who'd been on the ground, who knew the people, who could give me access to that. And certainly when I look at some other trips I've done in the past, I wished I had actually gone on some sort of organized trip. And so, James, obviously you've seen a lot of stats, you've seen a lot of sort of ways in which people are buying and booking through Travel Sue and that increased interest there. How about you? Have you got any plans as to what you want to do?
So from a personal perspective, I've always loved travel. That's why I'm in this industry. Start off small with my family. So whether if it's trips around the UK, we've done some lovely tours in Scotland and taking them on the car ferry and taking them to the Isles, things like that. I have to intermix that with the desires of my younger children. So they also love the beach holiday, the pool holiday. But yeah, the plans will be as they get older. So next year, hopefully do a nice road trip with them. I want to do that and take them off the beaten track. We talk about take them to those local places, pull over at a beach that's deserted and get them to run in the sea and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my goal because I was very fortunate that whilst my parents couldn't afford all the luxuries in the world, the one thing that they provided me was travel once a year to somewhere very much off the beaten track. And I was very lucky because that certainly helped define my career.
It's fascinating the different types of interests that these adventure travel and tourings can offer. I mean, one thing I've been looking at is swimming holidays, and you are just taken to different swim pools in different locations, particularly around Greece. So it's high on my list once I actually organise myself, actually more organising my dog with some doggy care so I can get myself outside the UK. Right, okay, well, thank you ever so much, everybody, for listening to us talk about the growth of adventure travel and touring. Thanks again to Claire Brighton, ATAS Director, and to our panellists, James Clark, Claire Steiner and Will Plummer. I've been your host, Ryan Haynes. Listen to us again and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on travelmarket.life.
For more, go to Travel Market Life. The music sensation by Zach Nelson is reproduced under license from Storyblocks. Travel Market Life is a Haynes Marcoms digital marketing agency production, serving the travel and technology industries.